Well, hello, testing, testing. Let me see if this is working. Yep. I hope you guys are doing okay. Uh, How is everyone? I hope you're actually going to enjoy this as much as I am going to enjoy showing it to you. So, if you're watching this now or later, please hit that like button, comment, and share because it helps the video to get out to more people, and I would appreciate that very much. So, first, let me say that I just found this study, and if you are new to Torah, as I am, then you are going to love this. Um, Tonight, we're going to see the book of Revelation like you've never seen it before. So, let's watch together and let's get it. This guy's name is Michael Rood. If you guys have ever seen any of his teachings, um, they are amazing. And let's just go ahead and get started with this first one. Just give me 1 second. All right. Share. Okay. I'm going to make it big for you guys. We may have to watch a video.
Almighty is shouting down his commandments. He shouted his commandments down to the ecclesia, the kahila, the called out. So I was young when I prayed, Lord, teach me what the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is. I want to know. And little did I know that I would be led on a path by the Spirit to get into one of the big Nicolaitan cults in the world, and to see the ramifications of that. What the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, Nico in Greek, is conqueror, Nike. Laity, Laitans is people, conquering of the people. And when you see the manipulation, the intimidation, the control that is exercised by those who, as Yeshua said, when James and John's mother came to him and said, bowed down to him and worshipped him, and Yeshua said, it's really, really neat in the Greek because it says, woman, what do you want? It's like, okay, this is a con job going on here. He saw it coming. Oh, Lord, grant that my two sons here, James and John, get to sit on your right hand and left hand when you enter the kingdom. He said, woman, you have no idea what you're asking. James, John, get in here. Are you able to be baptized with the baptism I'm going to be baptized with? Are you able to drink of the cup that I'm going to drink of? And they said, yes, Lord, we're able. He said, okay, boys, you're on. But to sit on my right hand and left hand, you can forget it right now. And it says the rest of the disciples were moved with envy, because that's the only thing that can be produced by this. Once you take up the right and left hand of Yeshua, what do you have left? The right and the left hand of James, right and left hand of John. Then, positions taken. Bishops, you got the college of cardinals. Now you got the priests. Finally, you get down to the laity, the people on the bottom down here. And everybody knows what rolls downhill. And this is the world religion. And Yeshua says the Gentiles exercise dominion, lordship, and authority over each other. They're the ones who build this Nicolaitan hierarchy that somebody sits at the top and everything else rolls downhill. And you have to go through your head and all that kind of nonsense. He says, no, you want to do it like that, pack your bags, Peter, and head to Rome. Well, he didn't actually say that. He said, no, this is not the way we're going to do it. He says, I'm the Messiah. I didn't come into this world to be served. I came to serve. You're going to do it like me. You get underneath everybody else and you raise them up. That's how it's done in my kingdom. None of this person being served at the top. No, you get underneath and you help. See, the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is just the other way. It's the intimidation, manipulation, and control. because the people down here can't hear from heaven. They have to obey the people above them, who obey the people above them, who go all the way to the top. So, the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is a big deal in the book of the Revelation. It's creeping into the body of believers even at that time. We're dealing with Jezebel spirits. We're dealing with all sorts of stuff for... Oh, thank you. Wonderful. I needed a place to put my glass. Thank you. And so now we have right here, we'll start out with, right over here. We've got one. This is it. One. The things you have seen. You have seen. Which is Yeshua in his glorified body. Number two. Things which are now. Number three. The things hereafter. And so now what we have right here are 7 letters to the 7 Kahila. And so we get to chapter 4, and what we have happen at chapter 4 is that now John is taken to the throne room.
This guy's doing it by his memory. Oh, crap, of course. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to turn it off and I'll try to start it over. So, sorry about that, guys. Thank you for telling me. All right, I'm going to turn it off and I'll try to start it over. So, sorry about that, guys. Thank you. Can you stay on just for a minute? All right, I'm going to turn it off. Can you stay on just for a minute? Crap. I don't understand. Okay. Okay, guys, hold on a second. I don't know why you're not being able to hear it, and I can. Okay. You guys hear me, right? You guys hear me? Okay, hold on.
Seven seals. Now I have to go back to the things which you have in his to the seven letters, seven kahila. Every one of them starts out by, this is what the one who has the seven stars in his right hand says. This is the word from the one who has the keys of death in the grave. This is one. Every time he refers back to something he saw with Yeshua. The one who walks among the lampstands. When he says that, the one who walks among the lampstands, nothing is hidden. He sees everything that's going on. You're not going to pull the wool over his eyes. He knows what's happening because he's alive. He is real, and you better deal with him as if he is alive and real, and you can't pretend that he's not alive and real and that he doesn't see what's going on. He sees everything that's going on. You can't fool him, and so now in the letters, every one of these, future promise in each one of these letters to those that overcome, this is what they will get. And when you see in the book of Revelation, when it is they receive it, it's in the new heaven and the new earth all the way over here, where there is no more death, there are no more tears, there's no more crying. He will eat of the tree of life that's planted in the garden. When is that tree of life in the garden? The new heaven and the new earth. It's not before then. See, in the book of Genesis, we have paradise. We have the garden. The word garden in Genesis chapter 2, into the Greek, every time it's translated paradosos or paradosion, paradise. We were ejected from paradise back in the garden, and paradise is restored here in the new heaven and new earth. And so it's a promise of what is in the future. If you stand strong, if you overcome, then you will have that benefit. So again, that's the seven letters to the seven kahila, and each one of them goes back to what he has seen and the things which are now happening right now. Now the things which shall be hereafter, now we have the scene in the throne room with the seven seals. Now what you have are the seven seals. And as the seals are stripped off from this scroll, every time you see all hell break loose on the earth. Because Satan's authority over this earth is being stripped. It's all done. Yeshua is going to then take this earth and he's going to reign. He has the authority to legally buy back all mankind. So now we have these seven seals. And so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And at the sixth seal, that is when there is silence in heaven for about, a half hour? Half hour of silence. Now, some people have projected that this is proof that the rapture hasn't happened yet, because you'd never have a half hour silence if there were women in heaven. Now, I think that's terrible. I don't think that's a good translation. But it's funny. No. It's well-known fact that women have 5 times as many words as men do in a day. Okay. So, we have 6 seals, and then we have the 7th seal, and the 7th seal. At the 7th seal, there are 7 trumpets that are introduced. Now, if you look at this, now the people have tried to stack the seals on top of thunders and try to stack all these things up. That's not how this is written at all. You have 7 seals. Each stripped off, you have the play out. The next one, when the 7th seal is ripped off, 7 angels with trumpets are introduced. And now, with each one of these trumpets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we will stop right there. At number 6, the 3rd trumpet looks something like the 2nd seal, but it's not. It looks like it. It's similar to it, but it can't be the same thing. Let's say that we have 7 cups right here down on the table. And down on the table, we take off the first one, second one, and under the third one, we have a zucchini. Okay, here's a zucchini under this one here. We go all the way down. Here's the 7th one. We lift it up, and then we've got 7 other cups that are under that. Now, when we take off the 4th one, there's another zucchini under there. That's a little different color. But is that zucchini the same as that zucchini? No. It's impossible. They can look similar, but they can't be the same because of the order of events in which these things are transpiring. So we get to the 6th trumpet, and at the 6th trumpet, this is when we have right there at the 6th trumpet, we have an intervention here. I'm going to put 6th trumpet. And right here we have 7, what? Help me. What happens? No, not yet. It's 7 thunders. The 7 thunders. Now, here is the scene. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trumpets. How many trumpets altogether? 7. At the 6th trumpet, then 7 thunders are introduced. Now, what are these thunders? You have to ask. And this is what everyone wants to know. What are these 7 thunders? Well, it says when these 7 thunders, an angel with 1 foot on the land, 1 foot on the sea, the scroll is rolled out, and he begins to read out. And when he speaks, it is like a lion roaring. It sounds like thunder coming out. And John begins to do what he was told, which is write. He starts to write, and the voice comes out of heaven, stop! Don't do it. Now remember, Yeshua was given this revelation for him to show unto his servants the things which must come to pass. See, the book of Revelation is not written to the casual pew warmer, the innocent bystander, the casual Christian out there. It was written to servants. The word servants is doulos. This is, in Greek, is a sold-out bond slave. Okay? That is why the book of Revelation is not known by most of the Christian world, nor will they ever know it. They are going to be playing patty cake with it for the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter how much truth is out there and available to them. They will never, ever get it. Why? As Yeshua said, to those who obey the truth, more truth will be given. But those who do not obey the truth they have, even the truth that they now have, will be taken away from them. The reason I'm speaking to the parables is because I don't want them to understand. This may be hard for you to understand. You think of the sweet baby Jesus story. I don't want them to understand because they won't obey what they have already. I'm not going to give them more truth. They won't do it anyway. These people are dead weight. The Capernaum synagogue. He says, "You eat my flesh and drink my blood, you'll have no part." And most of the people scattered. He turned to his disciples, "Why don't you guys take off too?" He said, "Where are we going to go? You've got the words of truth. We have no idea what you just said to all of us, but you've got the words of truth. We're not going anywhere." I mean, he's constantly thinning the people out. The bystanders who don't want to do the truth, they'll have whatever they have.
Sorry, guys, it's a video. A commercial, I'm sure.
Taken away from them anyway.
There we go.
But here, these 7 thunders.
The devil doesn't want me to
This is
share
something
this
you
with you. Okay. Oh, heavens. Come on. Sorry, folks. Oh, it gets even better. I can't believe he's doing all this by memory.
Doesn't want his servants to know. John starts to do what John was told to do, because he's recording this for the servants of Yeshua. He's to write it, and Yeshua cries out from heaven, "Don't tell him." But then he gives us the clue. But when the 7th angel sounds, you know that the mystery of God will be executed. When the 7th angel sounds its trumpet. So here we are. We have 7 thunders, and we don't know what they are. But this is what we can know about them. John's told, take this little book that's in the hand of the angel and eat it. He said it's going to be sweet in your mouth, but it's going to make you sick to your stomach. And then he is told, in the day when the 7th angel sounds his trumpet, the mystery of God will be executed. This means we are this close to home. We're this close to we are right here. When these 7 thunders are done, we have the 7th trumpet. These are things that, when we look at the entire thing in the book of Revelation, we see that great tribulation has begun. You know, we've got millions of dead bodies littering the planet at this point. We have biological warfare. We've got genetically modified cornflakes. It's giving our children Alzheimer's. You know, I mean, you know, the diseases that they're coming out with, that they're naming every day, is like, it's unbelievable. And, you know, in the book of the Revelation, it tells us why Babylon, the entire system, has to go down, is because the great men of the earth are the merchants of Babylon who, through their pharmakia, are deceiving the nations. You know, they pass this pharmakia off, the stuff that is made in the laboratory, they're passing it off as food, and it's not food. It is man-made pharmakia. Heidelberg is the Pharmakia Museum for Europe. Incredible place there. It shows the development from the leaves of the trees, which are given for the healing patient, and finally, all through history, to this big bottle of pills, all in a laboratory, and it's all pharmakia. And there's no telling what the stuff is doing to us on the cellular level, and what is now the genetic modification of stuff. So something very interesting that you'll see here in the land of Israel that I was just witnessing just a couple days ago. Reminded me, as I was looking out over this wheat field over at the Horns of Hittim, it's all dwarf wheat. And my mother, a few years ago, as we were driving in Michigan, and I was up there visiting, she said, look, no more amber waves of grain. I said, what are you talking about, no more amber waves of grain? That's the song America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. She said, the wind is blowing, and look at the wheat. Nothing's moving. There are no waves of grain. And then I found out that a man won a Nobel Prize a few decades ago, because he genetically modified wheat to grow short and full of gluten and huge heads, no crop damage at all. And now it has gone all over the world. And that is when the obesity epidemic kicked in America and all over the world at the same time. And now the medical establishment and medical doctors are telling us what happened. See, wheat, the old wheat had 14 chromosomes. Now, the difference between a man and a woman, between Zipporah and I, is one chromosome. That's all the difference between a man and a woman. And that's an incredible difference. It's one chromosome, okay? And that one chromosome makes it so I have no idea what this other species is thinking. No idea, okay? That's one chromosome. The wheat that we once had throughout the world, the wheat of the Bible, was 14 chromosomes. Now it's 46 chromosomes. This isn't even wheat. This is destroying us on the cellular level. This is what has happened. And this is just one piece of pharmakia. This is one thing the book of Revelation talks about, that this is why this whole thing has got to go down, because we have been so defiled, so tampered with, that Yeshua is going to tear Babylon completely down, and we're going to start all over again. So, now, the seven thunders, why are we not to know? The picture is, it's going to be sweet to your mouth, the knowledge that we're almost there.
Thanks for listening to part one of
that's not it.
Michael explaining
So,
the book of Revelation. I want to encourage you, don't miss part two.
yeah, this is part 2 coming up, guys. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. It gets better. Just don't go. Hold on. And just give me a second. Pull it right up. Hope you guys are enjoying this. This is amazing. This is going to get even better now. So watch. Just hold on. Here it comes.
Here is the scene. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trumpets. How many trumpets altogether? 7. At the 6th trumpet, then 7 thunders are introduced. Now, what are these thunders? You have to ask. And this is what everyone wants to know. What are these 7 thunders? Well, it says when these 7 thunders, an angel with 1 foot on the land, 1 foot on the sea, the scroll is rolled out, and he begins to read out. And when he speaks, it is like a lion roaring. It sounds like thunder coming out. And John begins to do what he was told, which is write. He starts to write, and the voice comes out of heaven, stop! Don't do it. Now, remember, Yeshua was given this revelation for him to show unto his servants the things which must come to pass. See, the book of Revelation is not written to the casual pew warmer, the innocent bystander, the casual Christian out there. It was written to servants. The word servants is doulos. This is, in Greek, it is a sold-out bondslave. Okay? That is why the book of Revelation is not known by most of the Christian world, nor will they ever know it. They are going to be playing patty cake with it for the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter how much truth is out there and available to them. They will never, ever get it. Why? As Yeshua said, to those who obey the truth, more truth will be given. But those who do not obey the truth they have, even the truth that they now have, will be taken away from them. The reason I'm speaking to them in parables is because I don't want them to understand. This may be hard for you to understand. You think of the sweet baby Jesus story. I don't want them to understand because they won't obey what they have already. I'm not going to give them more truth. They won't do it anyway. These people are dead weight. The Capernaum synagogue. He says, you've got to eat my flesh and drink my blood. You'll have no part. And most of the people scattered. He turned to his disciples, why'd you take off too? He said, where are we going to go? You've got the words of truth. We have no idea what you just said to all of us. But you've got the words of truth. We're not going anywhere. I mean, he's constantly thinning the people out. The bystanders who don't want to do the truth, they'll have whatever they have taken away from them anyway. But here, these seven thunders, this is something Yeshua doesn't want his servants to know. John starts to do what John was told to do because he's recording this for the servants of Yeshua. He starts to write it, and Yeshua cries out from heaven, don't tell them. But then he gives us the clue. But when the seventh angel sounds, you know that the mystery of God will be executed. When the seventh angel sounds its trumpet. So here we are. We have seven thunders, and we don't know what they are. But this is what we can know about them. John was told, take this little book that's in the hand of the angel and eat it. He said it's going to be sweet in your mouth, but it's going to make you sick to your stomach. And then he is told, in the day when the seventh angel sounds his trumpet, the mystery of God will be executed. This means we are this close to home. We're this close to we are right here. When these seven thunders are done, we have the seventh. These are things that when we look at the entire thing in the book of Revelation, we see that great tribulation has begun. You know, we've got millions of dead bodies littering the planet at this point. We have biological warfare. We've got genetically modified cornflakes. It's giving our children Alzheimer's. You know, I mean, you know, the diseases that they're coming out with, that they're naming every day is like, it's unbelievable. And, you know, in the book of the Revelation, it tells us why Babylon, the entire system, has to go down. Is because the great men of the earth are the merchants of Babylon who, through their pharmakia, are deceiving the nations. You know, they pass this pharmakia off, this stuff that is made in the laboratory, they're passing it off as food, and it's not food. It is man-made pharmakia. Heidelberg is the Pharmakia Museum for Europe. Incredible place there. It shows the development from the leaves of the trees, which are given for the healing of the nation, and finally you go all through history to this big bottle of pills, all made in a laboratory, and it's all pharmakia. And there's no telling what this stuff is to us on the cellular level, and what is now the genetic modification of stuff. So something very interesting that you'll see here in the land of Israel that I was just witnessing just a couple of days ago. Reminded me as I was looking out over this wheat field over at the Horns of Hittim. It's all dwarf wheat. And my mother, a few years ago, as we were driving in Michigan, and I was up there visiting, she said, look, no more amber waves of grain. I said, what are you talking about, no more amber waves of grain? That's the song America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. She said, the wind is blowing, and look at the wheat. Nothing's moving. There are no waves of grain. And then I found out that a man won a Nobel Prize a few decades ago, because he genetically modified wheat to grow short and full of gluten and huge heads, no crop damage at all. And now it has gone all over the world. And that is when the obesity epidemic kicked in America and all over the world at the same time. And now the medical establishment and medical doctors are telling us what happened. See, wheat, the old wheat had 14 chromosomes. Now, the difference between a man and a woman, between Zipporah and I, is one chromosome. That's all the difference between a man and a woman. And that's an incredible difference. One chromosome, okay? And that one chromosome makes it so I have no idea what this other species is thinking. No idea, okay? That's one chromosome. The wheat that we once had throughout the world, the wheat of the Bible, was 14 chromosomes. Now it's 46 chromosomes. This isn't even wheat. This is destroying us on the cellular level. This is what has happened. And this is just one piece of pharmakia. This is one thing the book of Revelation talks about, that this is why this whole thing has got to go down, because we have been so defiled, so tampered with, that Yeshua is going to tear Babylon completely down, and we're going to start all over again. So, now, the seven thunders, why are we not to know? The picture is, it's going to be sweet to your mouth, the knowledge that we're almost there. We're almost at the end. That we're almost at the gathering together. Because at the last trump, that is when the dead will be raised, the righteous rewarded. We're not even close. We're not even close. See, but going through it, he said, it'll be sweet to your mouth, but it'll make you sick to your stomach. Going through is going to be, there's no way to prepare you mentally or emotionally for what's going to happen on planet Earth. But Yeshua told us, when you see the abomination and desolation spoken by the prophet Daniel stand in the holy place, whoso reads, let him understand, that he who is in Jerusalem, get out of there immediately. If you're on top of the house, don't even go down and bother to grab a jacket. If you're on the field, don't come back into the sleeping bag. You better take off out of Jerusalem like a scalded dog. Because then is going to come great tribulation, such as not been from the beginning of time, nor ever shall be. And except those days would be shortened, there would be no flesh saved on the earth. We are going to see a time where, we're hated and betrayed by the world. We're killed by the world. But then it says that the believers will hate and betray each other to death. I mean, that's where it really gets tough, right there. When people in your own family turn you in to save their skin, or to save themselves from being tortured to death. Okay? Because they know how to torture you now. Like Rome only, they didn't even imagine what could be now done. And so Yeshua is telling us that going through this is absolutely sickening, but you're almost there. See, there's some things we're better off not knowing. And I've experienced this several times in my life. And this is how I know this by the Spirit, because there have been several times that I say I have been tricked by the Holy Spirit. I've been deceived by God into doing things that if I would have known what I would have had to go through, I never would have done it. Never would have done it. But in the end, having gone through it, and then having survived, being led by the Spirit, you can get out the other side and look back and saw what happened. Because I was there, I was thankful that I did it. But I never would have done it. Never would have done it. And I think that is what this is. And as Shaul said, there's no temptation taken but that which is common to man. But God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted above that you're able to stand. But with the test, also make ekbano, that you may be able to bear it. Ekbano, which means to take into the hands. It's like at that moment in time, he will take you into his hands, and he will be your provision. He will be your protection. Live or die, he is there with you, and when you are there with him. Oh, one of these times was with Angelique in Uganda. I went to speak to 1,000 pastors for the Full Gospel Businessmen Association. We got there, and instead of being taken to this place, we were taken out in the middle of nowhere. The guy got a phone call. He then got out, took all of our luggage, threw it off the side of the road, and then took off. In the middle of Uganda, in the middle of nowhere. Now, we ended up hiring a taxi to take us to a place in Uganda that the United Nations wanted to give to Israel to be the land of Israel. And so we went out to that city, which would have been the capital of the nation of Israel. This is the United Nations' first plan, not this parcel of land, but to put the Jews in Uganda. We got there, I got out of the taxi, I stood there, and I said to Angelique, I said, this is it. This is where we are supposed to be. This is where we were supposed to be all along. And then we watched the miracle happen. Just unbelievable. And this is a place that, certain hours a day, they had electricity. You had a short window to get a shower. It's not going to be warm. And at night, you had just enough time for the electricity to be out, turn the fan on, and get behind your malaria mosquito-proof net, and the electricity goes off, and you just lay in there, bake all. And this is not what I signed up for, okay? But yet, at the end, we could see that, the hand of the Almighty was with us. And, it's just one of those treasures. So, that was nothing compared to this. But, there are just things in life like that happen. That's right. Foreshadow of the seven thunders. Yeah. So, now the seven thunders are done. And what's next? The seventh trumpet. And this is the scene. Now, this is so absolutely incredible because this is the picture of the day of trumpets. Now we're in, I believe, the 12th chapter of the book of the Revelation. We've had, for 3.5 years, we've had two witnesses in Jerusalem. And nobody sees men. All right? This is the two witnesses, right? Is this where we are? Oh, okay. Chapter 11. Chapter 11. Somebody help. Okay, chapter 11. Okay, I lost my mind for a minute. Don't worry. It's coming back. So chapter 11, we have these two witnesses that are in Jerusalem. They prophesy in the streets 3.5 years, and nobody can touch them. The things out of their mouth, and they melt enemies like a marshmallow at a campfire picnic. And during this period of time, we see that these 3.5 years, what are we told? When we see the abomination in Jerusalem, who's left in Jerusalem? These two witnesses. Nobody can touch them. So, now, at the end of this period of time, it says when their testimony is finished, they lay dead in the streets 3.5 days. Dead in the streets. You can see that the time of the year this is. This is around September, the day of trumpets and everything. So, rigor mortis, and they're bloated like a couple of armadillos on a Texas highway in August, okay? And so they're having a party. These men are finally dead. And then there is a great earthquake. These men stand up on their feet in the sight of everyone, and they hear a voice from heaven saying the words of the high priest rehearsed every single month in the temple. See, at the end of the month, when the moon wanes and there is no moon, and it wanes just as the sun is coming up, you see the last sliver of the old moon. You know that 1.5 to 2.5 days later, when the sun sets, you're going to see the renewed moon, the first sliver of the new moon over the horizon. Now, in ancient Israel, that men they'd be watching for the first sliver of the new moon. When they saw the first sliver of the new moon, of course, now it's after sunset. The gates of the temple have been closed. It takes many men, about 20 men, to even open the gates of the temple. And so when they see the first sliver of the new moon, they go up to the Temple Mount and they call out to the temple guard, "We have sighted the new moon." When the temple guard sees that there are at least 2 witnesses out there, then he then goes up and gets a member of the Sanhedrin, one of the princes, one of the Nasi, and he comes down to interview them. When they know that they have 2 verified witnesses, then they open the gates, and then the witnesses, 2 at a time, and sometimes many come up, but 2 at a time, they will go up and they will go before the Sanhedrin in the Hall of Hewn Stones. They will then be questioned independently by the high priest and by the members of the Sanhedrin and the priest. What did you see? And they would have up on the wall, and they actually, they know what the chart looked like, to tell us exactly what you saw. And so they would know by how they question them whether these people have really seen the new moon or if they haven't. And so when they have 2 witnesses that have sighted the new moon, then the high priest shouts, "Sound the trumpet." And from the southwest corner of the Temple Mount, the place of the trumpeting, you saw the stone right there that the Romans pushed down below, the place of the trumpeting, that is where they blew the trumpets. And then over on the Mount of Olives, they lit the signal fires, and the trumpets would blow, and the signal fires would be lit from mountaintop to mountaintop throughout the land of Israel. It's Rosh Chodesh. It is the new. It is the new month. Well, this is especially important for the Day of Trumpets, because the Day of Trumpets is the rehearsal of the last day and the resurrection. And so now, on the Day of Trumpets, remember, the Day of Trumpets is the first day of the 7th month. It is the only feast that occurs on the first day of the month. That means you don't know when the Day of Trumpets is going to happen. You don't know the day and you don't know the hour. You get ready. When the old moon wanes, you know you got a day and a half, 2.5 days before the sliver of the new moon is seen. And so you stop what you're doing. You get your clothes washed, get them ironed out. The women prepare a feast. The men get back out in the field working. After everything's said, they get out there because it's harvest time. And then when they hear the sound of the trumpet, then that moment is the high Sabbath of the Day of Trumpets. Everyone immediately stops working. If there are 2 women at the millstone grinding, the ones who know and keep the feast are there, and they separate themselves. The men out in the field, just your average person who knows nothing about the feast, is not obedient to the Torah, they're just going to keep on working. But those who know what this rehearsal is about, they know that moment is a high Sabbath. And so what do we see in the book of Revelation? Those 2 witnesses are called up by the words of the high priest who stands on the Temple Mount. When the 2 witnesses stand on their feet at the gate, then the high priest shouts out, "Come up here! Come up hither!" And then the gates open. Then the 2 witnesses come up. They give their reckoning of the sighting of the new moon. And then the high priest says, "Sound the trumpet." Because the high priest, the Kohen Gadol forever, after the order of Melchizedek, the Melchizedek, is the one in heaven who says, "Sound the trumpet." And now it says, "Now is come the time of the dead, when the righteous are raised and rewarded. His servants, small and great, are raised and rewarded." This is chapter 11, verse 15? Where am I? 13. Read it to us. You got a King James here? You got a New King James, close enough. Read it, verse 13.
In the same hour there was a great earthquake, and 1/10 of the city fell. In the earthquake 7,000 people were killed, and the rest were afraid and gave glory to the God of heaven.
Okay. No, that's not where I'm at. Keep going.
That's 13.
Well, no, that's not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
What's 15 then?
Then the 7th angel sounded.
Okay.
There were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever."
And he shall reign forever. Okay, keep going. Where get?
Okay.
As now is come the time of the dead, when the righteous. Read it. What verse is it?
Wait, this is 16 now.
I don't care what number it is. Read it.
And the 24 elders who sat
No. Keep going. Now is come the time of the dead. Where are we?
Verse 18.
Verse 18. Thank you. Thank you. Read it.
The heathen raged, but your wrath is now come. This is now the time that the righteous dead shall be judged, and you will reward your servants, the prophets and the saints, and those who fear your name, both small and great.
There it is. It is the seventh trumpet, the mystery of God, when our bodies, our dead, corrupted bodies in the grave will be raised. The corrupted will put on incorruption. The mortal will put on immortality. And this is the saying fulfilled, that death is swallowed up in victory. When does this happen? In a moment. In a moment. That's how long. In the twinkle of an eye. That's how fast. At the last trump is when? At the last trump. And that is the seventh trump. The righteous are raised and rewarded. The mystery of God that he promised us, that there will be a resurrection. That is when it happens at the seventh trumpet. And now he will destroy those destroyers of the earth. Where is that? What verse is that? 19, 20? Okay, read it. Somebody read it to me.
You should destroy those who destroy the earth.
That's right. And he shall destroy those who destroy the earth. So now is come, right here, the third woe. The seventh trumpet is the gathering together. Gathering together. That's what it is in English. You have in Greek, it is harpazo. In Latin, it is rapturo. And that's where we get the word rapture. This is out of Thessalonians, okay? The gathering together. Concerning verse 2, now concerning the coming of our Lord and our together unto him. Gathering together is harpazo in Greek, rapturo in Latin. That is what it's all about. That day shall not come except first there come apostasia, the rebellious stand. It's not apostasy. Apostasy is an English transliteration of the word apostasia. But apostasy has gotten a different definition in in English. Apostasia is the rebellious stand, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, proclaiming that he is God. That is apostasia. It defines the rebellious stand as when the man of sin, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, proclaiming that he is God. That is the abomination of desolation. And know this, that the gathering together will not transpire until this takes place. It's exactly what's in the book of Revelation. There is no way to mistake this except by mistranslating these words. There is no pre-tribulation rapture. Thus saith Yahovah. There is no such thing. Now, I was a paid professional false prophet. For 20 years, I taught the pre-tribulation rapture heresy. That's why I had to spend the rest of my life doing penance. And telling people, no, it's all right. She's sometimes shown with a cow face, but most of the time not, and she's got this Barbie hairdo, okay? Goddess of fertility, it all makes sense, all right? And so these men were of the purest brass, and they were polished so that you could actually see the reflection. So when we came out of Egypt, the women of Israel melted down their mirrors, and so now they further refine this and then use that brass for the brazen laver. Then they polish the brazen laver so that when the priest before they approach the altar, they stop at the brazen laver and they look at themselves. If they have ashes or blood on them, they're required to wash their hands and the feet. But they look at themselves to see if there's any imperfection, and if there is, then they must change their garments. And so that is the typification upon the earth of the sea of fire in glass or fire in brass in heaven. See, this is what is referred to as the judgment seat of Messiah. Shaul talks about this. Everyone has to be very careful how they build on the foundation. He said, no other foundation can any man lay than that which is laid, which is Yeshua, Messiah. But everyone be very careful how they build thereon. If anyone builds on that foundation, gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, stubble, the day shall declare it. Those works will be tried by fire. If any man's work be burned on the sea of fire and brass, if all that we have done in this life is to collect wood, hay, and stubble, which is an important day on our tour. I always say we're going to have wood, hay, and stubble time now. And go out there and collect your crap so you can take it home so you got something to burn, when the fire comes down from heaven. Okay? All this is all going to burn away. What's going to be left of the gold, the silver, the precious stones? That's all going to be it's all going to be purified by that. And so on our face, on the sea of fire and brass, here we are, the multitude that no man can number. And then, out of the Mishkan in heaven, out of the throne room, there belches fire and lightning and thunder and brimstone as boiling and roiling as all this stuff belches out of the throne room. I'm just telling you what it says in the book of Revelation here, okay? And so all this thunder and lightning comes out, and out walks 7 angels with bowls full of the wrath of Almighty God. And the angel cries out and says, no one may enter the Mishkan in heaven until the bowls of wrath are poured out. And the angels walk over, one after another, and pour out the 7 bowls of wrath upon the earth. See, this is what Shaul said, we are saved from the wrath to come. We're not saved from Satan's wrath. We're not saved from the wrath of the Internal Revenue Service. We're saved from the wrath of Almighty God. And we're saved at the last trumpet. That is when the captain of our salvation saves us or makes us whole. The word save or salvation is sozo in Greek. It means to be made whole. And if we're dead and in the grave and our body is rotted away, that we will be made whole. If we are mortal, our mortal body will put on immortality at that time. At the last trumpet, we are saved from the wrath to come. And so these 7 bowls of wrath are poured out upon the earth. This is right here. I'll write it down right here. 7th trumpet right here. The day of trumpets. Yom Teruah. Right here. Now we have right here, between here and then the 7 bowls of wrath. At the end of this is when the cry goes off from the throne room. It happens 3 times in the scripture. The voice comes out from the throne room. It is finished. Remember those words? He says it again. It is finished. It is Tishri 10, which is what? Yom Kippur. That is, it is finished. Bowls of wrath are poured out. Now the next scene. It says, no one enters the temple in heaven, the Mishkan in heaven, till the bowls are poured out. Why does it say that? Because we do get to enter. And John then sees this. He sees that the bride then dresses herself in white garments. And the white garments are the righteousnesses or the righteous acts of the saints. And this is the marriage supper of the Lamb. And as he sees the bride being welcomed into the Mishkan in heaven, he falls down at the feet of this angel like a dead man. And the angel says, "Get up. Up. You are now get up, because this is the testimony of Yeshua Messiah." This is what he wants his servants to know, that all of this crap that they have gone through is worth it. Now they get to enter the Mishkan in heaven, to the marriage supper of the Lamb, and he says, "Get up and get on your feet." This is a testimony of Yeshua Messiah. And so John then records that, and you know what an incredible way to record it, that when he sees the honor of going into the wedding, the marriage supper of the Lamb, that he just crumbles. There's no way to say it. There's no way to express it. It's like, everything is out of him. He's like a dead man. And the angel says, "Get up. Do your job." This is the testimony. This is why you've been writing this whole thing, so the saints know what it's like to come into the marriage supper of the Lamb. And so we go into the marriage supper of the Lamb, and now it is. See, on the earth, we have Tishri 1 to Tishri 10. These are the 10 days of awe. This is what? The 7 bowls of wrath take place at this time, between the Day of Trumpets and Tishri 10. Now, from Tishri 10 to Tishri 15, we've got this period of time. Tishri 10, now Tishri 15, which is Tishri 15. What happens Tishri 15? Sukkot. And how long is Sukkot? It is a 7-day feast. 7-day feast. The ancient Israelite wedding, 7-day feast. Here we are in heaven at the marriage supper of the Lamb for 7 days. And while this, after the 10 days of all, the wrath is poured out, then it tells us what's going on, because, the end of the wrath is pretty heavy. There is hail that comes down out of heaven. Every piece of hail is about 100 pounds. There's very few places you can hide from 100-pound chunks of hail. You can forget the car, okay? That has a hard time standing up to hail that big. 100-pound chunks of hail, it's just going to smash everything. Mountains are going to be moved out of their places. Entire cities are going to crumble. The entire infrastructure of planet Earth is going to be decimated. But yet, there are people that are going to survive this. The last one is they are given blood to drink. Everything. Because they have shed the blood of the saints, he has given them blood to drink, and Almighty God is righteous, the angel declares, because they poured out the blood of the saints, and now he's given them blood to drink. And so now, when those 7 bowls of wrath are poured out, now the aftermath on planet Earth, it says that Hasatan, through the false prophet and the beast, gathers the army together to fight against the king. Because the king is coming back, and they're going to try to stop this. And so, up in heaven, we are really not worried about what they're doing down upon the earth. Okay? We are in the marriage supper of the Lamb for these 7 days. 7 days marriage supper of the Lamb, and then the 8th day, which is Tishri 23, is the last great day, Hoshana Rabbah, and it's also called the Feast of Leviathan. Feast of Leviathan in ancient biblical literature. Why is it called the Feast of Leviathan? Because at the end of that 7-day feast, then the curtains in the Mishkan roll back, and we look out over a sea of white battle stallions in full armor. And Yeshua says, saddle up your horses. We're going to take the earth. Yeshua takes off his tallit, goes over to the altar, and puts his tallit down in the blood and gets it absolutely saturated and soaking, dripping with blood. He then puts it on him and cinches his band around his waist, throws his leg up over this stallion with the blood just running down from him, and he says, follow me. You're not going to have to fight. This is my fight. The angel cries out, birds get ready to eat the flesh of kings and of captains and of great men. It's the feast of Leviathan. Just like in the heavens, one of the constellations in the ancient Hebrew Mazzaroth is the serpent, whose tail encircles 1/3 of the heavens. And on the back of this serpent are the birds eating his flesh. It's the feast of Leviathan that has been pictured in the heavens for all these thousands of years. Even among the secular Mazzaroth, they still show the serpent with the birds eating his flesh. Birds get ready to eat the flesh of kings and of captains of great men. In the very next verse, the birds are eating the flesh of kings and captains of great men. So the day after they eat the flesh of kings and captains of great men, what is the flesh of kings and captains and great men? Bird dew. You know, see, this is like biblical joke. It's like when it says that Jezebel was eaten by dogs. What's Jezebel the next day? That's right. You know, this is like the Almighty say this. You know, I think Clint Eastwood said it in an elevator to some punks once. In my book, your dog do. He said it probably a little differently than that. But, you know, Clint Eastwood was actually quoting the book of the Revelation. Well, no, he's quoting the Jezebel thing. Anyway, so Yeshua takes the earth. It says Satan is then bound, thrown into a bottomless pit, and he is in the bottomless pit for how long? 1,000 years. Does he hit the bottom? You can't. It's bottomless. Okay. All right. So it's cast on the bottomless pit, and it says in King James they put a seal on the bottomless pit. Now, I don't know if the seal is balancing a ball on his nose or what, but there's a seal that's put on the bottomless pit. And some of you folks are just way too serious here. Anyway, end of the 1,000 years, then Satan, Hasatan, the adversary, that's what it means, the adversary, Hasatan, is released. He says he must be released. In the beginning of the book of Revelation, the things that Yeshua wants John to show his servants, the things that must come to pass, the word must in Greek is must. There's no way out of it. This must come to pass. Satan must be released. He goes out and deceives the nations of the world. And who is he deceiving here now? We've got to remember that those who made it through the bowls of God's wrath are going to come up in an army to try to defeat Yeshua. Those who do come up to fight against the king, Yehovah Tzebaot, as it says in the 14th chapter of Zechariah, they are turned into what? Bird dew. Okay? But how about those who didn't come up to fight? Zechariah 14, somebody help me. What happens with these people? All those who did not come up to fight against the king, Yehovah Tzebaot, will come up every year to worship the king at Jerusalem. And if the families of the earth don't come up to Jerusalem to worship the king, Yehovah Tzebaot, there doesn't rain on them for a whole year. Now, that's not an extended weather forecast. That's the death penalty. If it doesn't rain on your nation for a whole year, there's going to be death. Who is it that's alive? It's body, soul men who made it all the way through. And now they are going to come up to Jerusalem. Who is reigning upon the earth? It's the Messiah. Who's reigning with him? I sure hope so. This is what he promised that we get to do. If we give up our country, if we give up our families, our husbands, our wives for the kingdom of heaven's sake, if we give up our jobs because we're not going to work on Shabbat, if we give these things up now, we are going to be rewarded. If we're faithful with what we have, we get the whole thing. We get to rule with them. I mean, this is really real. It's really, really real. What we have in this life is crap compared to what we will get if we take it seriously. Most people won't take it seriously. They just want religion. They want 1 hour a week, maybe a couple hours a week that they can feel religious, but they don't really want to get involved in this fight. I mean, this is going to be a fight to the death. Yeshua said, you want to follow me? Grab an execution stake and get in line. They're going to hate me. They're going to kill me. They're going to come after you. They're going to kill you too. But be of good courage. Be encouraged by this, that I have overcome the world. I am going to reign over this earth, and it doesn't matter what price you have to pay. I'm going to reward you. That's reality. So, at the end of this period, Satan goes out. Of course, I don't expect that he's going to be deceiving Zipporah. You know, she's got a new body. You know, like she's running Los Angeles. She's run the homos out. Or San Francisco. I mean, you know, she's running things. Because you were out in California, right? Yeah. So she's going to go back there. She's going to go kick butt.
All right, yeah.
Okay? She's going to have some divine authority to get some things done. Okay? What? You're making it cooler?
No, I'm just stopping up freezing to death.
Oh, okay. All right. We're good. We're good. All right. Now, so Satan goes out, deceives the nations of the world. They come down to converge on the king once again, numbered like the sands of the sea. These people do not want to keep the Torah. They want to do their own thing. Now remember, they're probably 20 generations removed from when their parents were running things and screwed up the whole world. They have no idea what it was like. And that mankind brought himself to the brink of destruction. It only takes a couple generations to forget the whole history of the world, okay? All right? So, I mean, yeah, we don't need too many examples. I mean, even in Germany. I mean, if it's not for the school system and everything, you know, educating the German youth and them to the camps, I mean, the rest of the world is trying to say that the Holocaust never happened. Well, in Germany, the Germans don't say it never happened. I mean, they're there. They have to be, you know, they have to be taken there so that they come to grips with this stuff. And I mean, it's a bitter thing that has to be learned. Can you imagine what it'd be like? Because it's like, you know, your grandfather and my grandfather, okay? It's only 2 generations ago. And it's like the rest of the world wants to forget. We've got 1,000 years. And now, these people, they don't want to follow the rules. They want to do it their way. And they think they can kick Yeshua out. And it says that fire comes down from heaven and incinerates everything. And what's left? There is a great white throne. And this doesn't look too great, and it's certainly not white. But here is a throne. Oh, that's so pitiful. Now I'm going to have to write, great white throne. And on that throne, the heavens and the earth flee away from. And he who sits on the throne is going to judge. The books are open. Everyone who has ever lived is then going to stand before the judge. Who is the judge? It's Yeshua who's the judge. So he said, all authority and power has been given unto me. He said he will be the judge. And we will be judged by a peer. Someone who in all points, like we, were tempted, yet he was tempted, but yet without sin. He knows what it's like, and it's good that he's going to judge, because all of us would be too harsh on everybody. I think Yeshua will I'm glad he's judging. That's all I know. Oh, yeah. And then after this, there is a new and new earth. We are back to paradise, the garden. And now we will Sukkot. We will Sukkot. Now it says God and the Lamb will now dwell with men and make their dwelling, their tabernacle, their sukkah with men forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So it is a eternal fulfillment of the Feast of Sukkot. The Feast of Sukkot reminds us of when we lived in sukkahs in the wilderness and the Almighty dwelt in his sukkah, the tabernacle in the wilderness. It reminds us that Yeshua was born on the first day of the Feast of Sukkot, when the Word was made flesh and Sukkoted, tabernacled among us. And he was circumcised on the 8th day, the last great day, which is a high Sabbath. Just as he said to the Pharisees, you circumcise the child on the 8th day, on the Sabbath day, so the Torah is not broken, and he himself was circumcised on the Sabbath day. It was a high Sabbath. It was the 8th day. Doesn't matter what's going on, that circumcision will take place on the Sabbath. And then it's a picture of the Messiah reigning on earth for 1,000 years, tabernacling on earth, and everyone will keep the Feast of Tabernacles. If they don't, it's not rain on them. Why? Still not fulfilled. Its fulfillment is a new heaven and earth, and we were tabernacle with him forever. So, there in a nutshell is the book of the Revelation. So, anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, well, there's a lot of details that we can get into concerning, in the body of the book of the Revelation. And, of course, that's not our goal to go through every detail. It's just a very brief overview. I don't know how brief it was, but a very brief overview so that at least you have the whole framework of how everything fits into place on this. So it's a good question. We may be able to touch on that a little bit, but anything else about the structure, about how things fit from here to eternity?
I did also want, like, once it starts going down, for that 5 days there between the 10th and the 15th, nothing is happening?
Oh, from the Tishri 10 to Tishri 15,
All right, guys, if you want to watch this, Michael Rood, it's a Rude Awakening on YouTube. I'm sure that you can find him on Facebook as well. I know he's on Facebook, as a matter of fact. But, guys, that was an amazing teaching. I mean, he did all of that by memory. And it blows my mind how he just does that. But he's been studying for years, and he used to be a Baptist preacher. So that went Torah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching it with you. I guess I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Take care. God bless you. I love you, and you know God loves you.